The Galactic War Council chamber was one of the largest rooms ever built by living hands, a place where the voices of entire star empires came together, but on this day, silence filled the air like a heavy fog. Every alien leader, admiral, and diplomat sat in their glowing seats, waiting for the humans to arrive. They all expected one thing: they expected humans to agree to the Grand War Plan. They expected humans to fight like they always did, because humans were known for one thing across the galaxy: when danger came, they never backed down. Whispers moved across the hall as the human delegation entered, for humans walked down the long path between alien seats. Their boots echoed with slow, steady steps, their faces were calm, too calm. Aliens who had fought beside humans knew this calm was not normal. Humans were loud before a war, they argued, planned, prepared, but today they walked like they already knew the ending of a story no one else could read. The council leader, a large creature with crystal skin, raised his hand and spoke. Humans, we ask for your strength in this coming war. We face a threat in the dark space, and we need you. The humans did not answer at first. They looked at each other as if speaking without words. One of them, Commander Rian Holt, stepped forward. The room leaned toward him, waiting for the moment they all expected. They waited for the famous human battle cry. They waited for the promise of unity. Instead, Rian said something no one in the room was ready for: humanity refuses. Gasps exploded around the chamber. A few alien leaders stood up in shock, some shouted in anger, some whispered in fear. For the galaxy, humans were not just allies, they were a force. If humans refused to fight, something was terribly wrong. The council leader tried to keep his voice steady. Humanity refuses, why? What have you seen? Rian did not answer, his eyes remained cold. His team stood behind him like statues, almost too still. It made the aliens uncomfortable. Something about the humans felt different today, like they were holding a secret too heavy for words. One alien general slammed his hand on the table. This is betrayal. You want us to fight alone? Rian only said, you do not understand the danger you are calling. A quiet panic started to grow among the alien races. They had never seen humans behave like this. A species known for courage now showed something else, something like fear, but not fear of the enemy, fear of what the council was planning to do. Suddenly, the chamber lights flickered, screens around the room flashed with strange symbols. An unknown energy signal appeared, moving across the galaxy map like a dark wave. Every alien turned to look, confused and afraid. Rian looked at the signal and whispered, it begins. The council demanded answers. What is that? Why do you refuse the war? What is coming? Rian finally spoke again, because your war plan will make it stronger. The room shook with voices. No one understood. Stronger? How? Why would fighting make the enemy stronger? Nothing made sense, and the tension in the air grew like a storm ready to break. An alien spy, small and quiet, slipped away from his seat and followed the humans as they left the main chamber. He moved through the shadows, staying close. The humans entered a dark corridor, whispering among themselves. The spy leaned closer and heard small fragments of their words. It is coming, not what they think, too late to warn them. The spy felt cold fear run through him. He stepped back, ready to report, but suddenly a hand gripped his shoulder. A human soldier stood behind him with a faint smile. You should not be here, he said softly. The spy's heart raced. The smile was not friendly, it was a warning. The soldier did nothing more, but the message was clear. Some secrets were not meant for the galaxy to know. Back inside the chamber, the strange signal grew stronger. The map glowed brighter. Some coordinates flashed again and again like a heartbeat. Aliens argued louder, pushing fear into every corner of the hall. The council leader finally shouted, humans must explain this. The humans returned to the center of the room, all eyes locked on them. Rian spoke slowly, we found something on the edge of the galaxy, something older than your empires, older than the council, older than the stars you worship. The council leader swallowed hard. What did you find? A signal, Rian said, a warning. The aliens leaned closer, desperate to understand. Rian looked around the room. We refuse the war because your plan will call it here faster, and when it arrives, nothing in this room will survive. The council froze. Every alien stared at the humans as if seeing them for the first time. the calm on their faces was not weakness, it was acceptance, they already knew what was coming. A low rumble echoed through the chamber, lights dimmed, the screens all changed at once, the strange signal transformed into a massive shadow moving across space, something so big the map could not show its full size. Rian stepped back and whispered, "It noticed us." The chamber fell silent, no one breathed, aliens who had survived 100 battles felt their bones go cold, whatever was coming was not an enemy, it was something else. The humans exchanged one last glance, their faces serious, calm, ready. And Rian said the words that froze every soul in the room. "This is why humanity refuses, because the real war has already begun." Panic grew inside the chamber like fire spreading through dry grass. Alien leaders looked at each other with wide eyes, trying to understand what the humans meant. The strange shadow on the screen moved again, slow but unstoppable, as if it did not travel through space, but consumed it. The council leader tried to speak, but his voice trembled. "Humans, what do you mean the war has already begun?" Rian Holt, the human commander, did not answer at once, he simply watched the shadow growing on the display. His calm expression made every alien even more nervous. "Finally," he said, "that thing is not coming, it is already here." A cold silence spread across the room, some aliens felt their bodies freeze, others held their breath without realizing it. The shadow on the screen pulsed, and every time it pulsed, the lights in the chamber dimmed for a moment, as if something far away was breathing. An alien general slammed his fist on the table. "Humans, explain. What is it? A weapon? A creature? A machine?" Rian kept his voice low. "We do not know what it is, we only know what it can do." Before anyone could ask more, the chamber alarm screamed, red lights flashed, and a message appeared on the central display. Ships in Sector 7 had gone silent, no signals, no life signs, nothing, as if the sector itself had been erased. A wave of fear hit the room. Aliens stood up and shouted, demanding answers. A few rushed toward the exits, but the doors locked automatically, sealing everyone inside. The chamber AI announced, "Emergency lockdown activated." The council leader looked at the humans. "Did you do this? Did humanity trigger the lockdown?" Rian shook his head. "We did not, but something else did." A faint, low vibration passed through the floor. It was not loud, but it was deep. Something enormous was moving outside. Close to the council station, alien leaders turned to the giant window at the side of the room, trying to see into the black sea of space. They saw nothing at first. Then the stars outside flickered, not because of light changes, but because something massive passed in front of them, blocking them for a moment. A few aliens took a step back, not understanding what they had seen. It was too big to process, too silent, too wrong. A young alien scientist, Lyra, whispered, "It is already here, inside our space." Her voice barely reached anyone, but the humans heard her. Rian nodded slowly. "Yes, it is inside your space, and it is looking for something." The council leader felt chills on his crystal skin. "Looking for what?" Rian answered quietly, "For us." The room erupted with confusion. Some aliens shouted that humans brought the danger, others accused humans of making contact with it, a few even claimed that humans were controlling the shadow. The noise grew louder and louder until it became almost impossible to hear anything. Then the station lights went out, everything turned pitch black. The only light came from the screens, and on every screen, a single symbol appeared, a dark coil twisting around itself, pulsing slowly. Aliens stared at the symbol, confused, but the humans reacted instantly. Rian whispered, "The mark, it found our signal." A thin line of cold sweat ran down an alien commander's neck. "What does that mean?" "It means," Rian said, "we do not have much time." The symbol flickered, then disappeared. The blackout ended, and lights returned, not normal lights, but a dim, blue glow that gave the entire chamber a cold and eerie feeling. The chamber AI rebooted, but its voice sounded distorted. "Warning, external presence detected, unknown classification." Everyone's eyes moved to the window again. This time the shadow outside shifted, revealing a faint outline, something shaped like a giant spiral, stretching across space farther than anyone could see. It was not a ship, nor a creature, nor a machine, it was something else entirely. The alien scientist Lyra covered her mouth. it is not moving through space, it is eating it. Her words made everyone step back, a few leaders collapsed back into their seats, unable to speak, the shadow turned slightly, and the stars behind it bent like light passing through water. The creature, or whatever it was, warped reality around itself. The council leader finally asked the question no one wanted to say aloud: humans, why did it come? Rian breathed out slowly, because we answered its signal. Aliens shook their heads, confused, some stared at the humans with fear, as if humanity had broken some ancient cosmic rule. Rian continued, we found its mark on the edge of the galaxy, we decoded it, we listened to a message that was not meant for living minds. The alien general shouted, you woke it up. Rian did not deny it, he simply said, we tried to warn you. The shadow moved again, but this time, sparks appeared across the council station's shields, small cracks of blue energy crawling like lightning. The creature had touched the station, not with claws or weapons, but with something invisible, something that could grip matter without touching it. Lyra stepped closer to the window, her hands shaking. It is scanning us. Rian nodded, it is looking for humanity. A sudden jolt shook the entire chamber, alarms howled again, the station began to rotate slowly, not from engines but from pressure, external pressure. The creature's presence was bending the metal structure. Alien leaders screamed, some begged the humans to tell them how to stop it, but Rian's voice stayed steady, almost too steady for the situation. You cannot stop it, he said, only we can. An alien leader asked in a trembling voice, how? How can you stop something like that? Rian finally revealed part of the truth, because humanity is the reason it woke, and humanity is the reason it came here. The chamber shook again, lights flickering, and outside the shadow grew clearer and clearer, as if leaning closer to the window. The shape twisted like a colossal serpent made of darkness, the station trembled like it might tear apart. The last thing Rian said before the chamber lights died again was quiet but terrifying, it is here to reclaim what we found. And then everything went black again. Darkness covered the chamber completely, a deep, heavy darkness that felt alive. The alien leaders held their breath, afraid to move, afraid to speak, afraid that whatever was outside would hear them. The lights flickered again, but only for a second, and in that flash every alien saw something at the window, a long shadow curling across the glass like a finger tracing its prey. No one screamed, they were too shocked for that, their minds could not understand what they were seeing. The shape slid away when the lights went out again, leaving only the cold silence behind, a silence that pressed against every heart in the room. Rian Holt stood in the center, his body perfectly still, as if he had expected this exact moment. The other humans were silent as statues, their calmness made the aliens even more terrified, because calmness meant they understood something the others did not. Slowly the emergency lights returned, weak and shaking. The chamber AI tried to speak, but its voice was broken, like something was pulling the words apart. Cis, Tem, Brea, Ch, Un, Known, Enti, Tai, Inter, Fear. The AI shut down with a sharp crackle, sparks fell from the ceiling, and smoke drifted through the room. The shadow outside pulsed again, every pulse making the metal floor vibrate like a heartbeat, but this heartbeat did not belong to anything living, it belonged to something ancient, something that should not exist. The alien scientist Lyra stepped forward with trembling legs. It is not attacking us directly, she whispered, it is, searching. Rian nodded, yes, searching for what humanity took. A wave of anger and fear moved across the alien council. One leader shouted, what did you take? What did your species steal? Rian's eyes did not move away from the shadow outside. We found a relic on the galactic edge, a piece of something older than every civilization in this room. We did not know what it was, we only knew it was sending a signal. Another alien yelled, and you answered that signal without telling us? Rian finally turned to face them, his voice stayed calm, but there was weight in it. If we had told you, you would have sent armies to investigate, you would have touched the relic, you would have awakened it just like we did. The council room rumbled again. A loud metallic groan echoed through the walls. One alien grabbed the railing to stay standing. It is tearing the station apart. Rian shook his head, no, not yet, if it wanted destruction, we would already be dust. The council leader pointed a shaking finger toward the window, what does it want then? Rian's answer came slowly, it wants the relic back, it wants what we carried away. The aliens stared at the humans as if they were looking at dangerous creatures instead of allies. Where is this relic now? One whispered. Rian did not move, inside this station. The entire chamber erupted with alarm. Aliens shouted, pushing away from the humans. Some ran toward locked doors, pounding on them with desperate hands. The fear inside the room sharpened into chaos. Lyra looked at Rian with wide eyes. If the relic is here, then the entity will break through the station to get it. Rian nodded. That is why we refused the war, because your plan would bring your entire fleets here, and all of them would die. The shadow outside moved again, this time more aggressively. It pressed against the station's shields, sending out ripples of energy that cracked the glass of the main window. Hairline fractures spread like spiderwebs across the surface. A few aliens fell to their knees, praying to their own gods for protection. The chamber AI flickered back on, glitching. Shield, fail, you're in progress. Rian's team stepped closer, heads bowed slightly, as if preparing for something. Their movements were calm, too calm, almost ritual-like. This scared the aliens more than the shadow outside, because humans only moved like this when facing something they had trained for in secret. The council leader asked in a shaky voice, "Why bring the relic here? Why bring doom to this station?" Rian replied, "We did not know it would follow, we did not know the relic was alive." Gasps echoed across the room. Alive? The relic was alive? Or connected to something alive? The aliens felt cold terror spreading inside their bones. The station trembled again as the shadow pressed harder. This time pieces of the metal frame bent inward, as if invisible claws were closing around it. A sudden explosion rocked the lower decks. A deep boom vibrated through the chamber, knocking some leaders off their feet. The lights dimmed to almost nothing. The AI's voice returned for one last moment. Entity, breaching, outer hull. The sound of twisting metal filled the air. Something enormous was crawling along the outside of the station, scraping its surface. Every scrape felt like the station itself was crying in pain. Lyra grabbed Rian's sleeve. "If it is here for the relic, can we give it back? Will it leave?" Rian looked at her, and for the first time, his calm broke slightly. There was sorrow in his eyes. "We cannot return it," he said softly. "Why?" Lyra whispered. "Because the relic fused with one of us." The chamber froze. Aliens stared at the humans with complete shock. Their breathing stopped, their minds unable to process the meaning. One of the humans behind Rian stepped forward, his eyes dimly glowing with a faint, unnatural blue light, a light that matched the shadow's pulse outside. The glowing human spoke in a voice that was no longer fully his own. "It wants me." Every alien stepped back in pure terror. The shadow outside let out a deep, low roar that shook the walls, responding to the glowing human's presence. The windows cracked further, pieces of glass falling to the floor. Rian placed a hand on the glowing soldier's shoulder. "We will not let it take you." The shadow outside moved closer, and a dark tendril of energy appeared, stretching toward the station like a hand reaching for its lost child. The glowing human's voice trembled. "Rian, it is calling me." Rian's jaw tightened. "Then humanity will answer in our way." And then the station shook so violently that every light in the chamber died again, cutting the world to black once more. Complete darkness fell again, thicker and heavier than before. The chamber seemed to shrink, as if the walls were moving closer. Every alien stood frozen, listening to the echo of the last violent shake, listening to the breathing of others, terrified that something else might be breathing among them. A soft humming sound filled the air, low at first, then growing. The humans recognized it instantly. The glowing soldier's body was radiating that hum, a faint blue light spreading across his skin like veins of energy waking up. His eyes opened, glowing brighter than before, casting ghostly shadows on the chamber walls. Some aliens stepped back in fear, one whispering, he is changing." Rian Holt stood in front of the glowing soldier, blocking the terrified aliens from approaching. His voice was steady. "Stay calm, he is fighting it." The floor trembled again, this time softer, like the creature outside was slowly circling the station, deciding where to strike next. Every tremor made dust fall silently from the ceiling. Every vibration felt like a countdown, a warning that time was almost over. The glowing soldier, Eris, clutched his head with shaking hands. "It is calling me again," he said, his voice echoing strangely, as if two people were speaking at once. One voice was his, the other was something ancient, something deep and cold that did not belong to anything human. Rian tightened his grip on Eris's shoulder. "Fight it, Eris, stay with us." Eris trembled, his body flickering between blue light and normal skin. "It wants reunion, it wants to be whole again," he whispered. The aliens' fear grew, some were barely standing, others pressed their backs against the walls, praying silently. The council leader managed to find his voice at last. "Rian Holt, if that entity wants him, why protect him? Why risk the station?" Rian looked at the council leader, his voice quiet, "Because Eris is still human, and no human is left behind." The station lights flickered violently, then turned red. The AI's voice returned in a sharp, broken whisper. "Outer hull breach imminent." A tear ran down the main window, thin at first, then branching like lightning cracks. Aliens gasped as the cracks spread, revealing glimpses of something outside, something enormous, moving closer, its shape twisted like a dark spiral, pressing its weight against the station, bending metal like rubber. Lyra's voice cracked with fear. "It is trying to break inside." A deep thud echoed through the station, then another. Each strike was slow, heavy, patient, as if the creature was knocking on a door it already knew it could break. Alien leaders covered their ears as the sound vibrated through their skulls. Rian didn't move, his eyes fixed on the dark shape outside. Eris groaned again, collapsing to his knees, his glowing eyes dimmed for a moment. "Rian. I can't fight it anymore, it knows exactly where I am." Rian knelt beside him, gripping his arms. "Listen to me, Eris, you are stronger than it, you hear me? We will not let it take you." The creature outside responded. The windows darkened as a massive shadow pressed against them, the stars vanished behind its form, the chamber shook as metal screamed under pressure. Aliens began crying out, some begging for mercy, some blaming humanity, but none able to run. The doors were locked, the systems dead, and the creature was wrapping itself around the station like a predator around prey. Suddenly, the window cracked fully, a loud, sharp snap, a long dark tendril of energy snaked into view, pressing against the glass, searching, sensing. Eris's glow brightened instantly, reacting to the tendril, his breathing rose sharply. "It is here for me, Rian. It can smell me." A second tendril appeared, circling the window, the cracks widened, small pieces of glass falling inward. The aliens screamed, ducking behind tables, but the humans stood their ground. Rian positioned himself between Eris and the window, his stance firm. "You will not touch him," he whispered to the creature outside, even though it likely could not hear him through the glass. Suddenly Eris grabbed Rian's arm, his eyes glowing blinding blue. "Rian. I think I remember something." Rian looked down at him. "What do you remember?" Eris pressed his hand against his chest, where the relic had fused. The relic, it was part of that thing outside, but when it broke away, it created a mind, me. The chamber froze with shock, the alien stared with disbelief. Lyra whispered, "He is not just holding the relic, he is the relic now." Eris nodded weakly. "I am a piece of it, and it has come to take itself back." A roar from outside shook the chamber again, the glass bowed inward as the tendril slammed against it, cracks shot across the entire window surface like a spiderweb collapsing. Rian pulled Eris to his feet. "You listen to me," he said fiercely, "you are not it, you are Eris, you are human, you belong to us, not to that thing." Eris blinked, and for a moment, the glow faded, his human eyes returning. I want to believe that." The creature roared again, louder, closer, the tendril pushed harder, and the window finally split open, a long crack running from top to bottom. Air sucked outward with a sharp hiss, but emergency seals activated, slowing the leak. Everyone stumbled as the pressure shifted. Aliens screamed again as the shadow outside pushed its way through the cracks, thin tendrils probing the chamber air like tasting it. One tendril touched Eris's glowing skin, and he cried out, a mix of pain and something else, connection. Rian shoved the tendril away with his bare hand, blue sparks leaping across his arm. "Stay away from him," he shouted. The tendril recoiled but struck the glass again, furious. The window bent inward, metal groaning, ready to break. Eris grabbed Rian's shirt, panic in his glowing eyes. Rian, if the window breaks, it will take me. Rian held him upright, then we make sure the window doesn't break. But outside, the creature roared again, louder than anything the station had ever recorded, and the next strike sent cracks racing across the entire window like ice splitting under pressure. The glass was seconds away from exploding inward. And the creature's tendrils were ready to claim Eris the moment it did. The window was one heartbeat away from breaking, the cracks spread like living scars, glowing faintly as the creature outside pressed harder. The metal frame around the glass bent inward with a long, screaming groan. Aliens crouched behind seats, covering their heads, while others froze in open terror, staring at the nightmare outside, unable to look away. Eris staggered backward, holding his chest, the blue glow now pulsing like wild lightning inside him. His breath came fast, his voice shaking. Rian, it's pulling me, I can feel it, inside my bones. Rian stepped in front of him, never taking his eyes off the twisting dark tendrils outside. You're not going anywhere, he said softly, but the strain in his voice showed he was pushing against something far bigger than he could control. Another tendril slammed the glass, this time the window bent inwards almost a full meter. The sudden air pressure drop made everyone stumble, papers flew into the air, lights flickered, and alarms howled again in distorted voices. The council station felt like it was being slowly eaten alive. The alien scientist Lyra crawled forward, grabbing hold of a metal rail. If the window breaks, the emergency shields won't last, it will get inside. Rian answered without turning, I know. Eris clutched the side of his head, a scream tearing from his throat. His voice blended with another, a deeper one, ancient and cold. I am home, the voice inside him whispered, making every alien shiver. Rian grabbed Eris's shoulders, shaking him. Fight it. You hear me? Fight it. Eris's glowing eyes flickered with human emotion for a second. Rian. I'm trying, but it's so strong. The creature outside let out a roar that rattled the chamber to its core. The walls vibrated like drums being smashed by giants. The window bowed inward again, bits of glass falling like deadly rain. The tendrils outside curled eagerly, ready to force their way through. A huge shadow moved along the station exterior, larger than any ship, larger than anything built by hands. The creature seemed endless, twisting around the station like a serpent made of darkness and gravity. Its presence pressed against everyone's mind, drowning them in fear and silence. The council leader crawled toward Rian. Human, please, do something, tell us what to do. Rian didn't answer. He couldn't, because in that moment Eris fell to his knees again, glowing brighter, brighter still, until he was almost blinding. His voice came out in two tones again. I can feel it, it wants to merge with me, to make me part of itself again. Rian knelt in front of him, gripping Eris's face. Listen to me, Eris, you are human, you belong here, not out there with that thing. Eris stared at him with glowing eyes that flickered like dying stars. Rian, what if I'm not human anymore? Rian didn't even hesitate. You're human because you choose to be, he said, voice fierce and steady. That thing outside doesn't choose, it only consumes. Only humans choose who they are. Eris swallowed hard, and for a moment his glow dimmed. The human part of him was winning, but the creature outside felt the shift. It roared again, smashing the station so violently the entire chamber tilted to one side. Aliens rolled across the floor, tables flipped, lights burst, and the window let out a sharp, final scream. A massive crack shot across the glass, and then the window exploded inward. A violent blast of air sucked everything toward the breach. Loose objects flew toward the hole, a hurricane of debris pulling with deadly force. Aliens screamed as they held on to anything they could grab. The emergency shields flickered into place, thin blue barriers covering the hole, but they were weak, unstable, shaking. Dark tendrils shot through the shield, slicing through the air like shadows with claws. They reached toward Eris, drawn to his glow like magnets. One tendril wrapped around his arm, another around his shoulder. Eris screamed, the sound splitting the chamber. His glow surged wildly, blue energy arcing off his skin like electricity. The creature outside roared in triumph, pulling harder, the tendrils dragging Eris toward the broken window. Rian grabbed Eris's waist, pulling him back with all his strength. The tendrils tightened, ripping pieces of metal from the floor as they tried to take Eris, the emergency shield flickered dangerously, about to collapse. The chamber AI whispered one broken sentence, shield, failing. Eris's eyes began to glow pure white, tears streaming down his face. Rian, let me go, if it takes me, it will leave the station, it will stop. Rian shouted over the storm of energy, no. You're not dying today. Eris shook his head, the tendrils pulling harder. If I stay, it will kill everyone, you have to let me go. Rian's eyes filled with pain, I won't. Eris raised a glowing hand, touching Rian's chest gently, tell humanity. I tried. Then Eris's glow exploded outward like a supernova, a violent wave of blue light blasted from his body, knocking every alien flat against the floor. Rian was thrown backward, smashing into the wall, lights shattered above him, the tendrils recoiled from the explosion, but only for a moment. When the light faded, Eris floated slightly above the ground, suspended, a radiant blue silhouette. His voice was powerful, layered with human and ancient tones. Rian, thank you, for making me choose. Then he turned toward the broken window and released all the energy inside him. A beam of blinding blue light shot outward, striking the creature directly. For the first time, the creature screamed in fear, not rage. The tendrils shriveled, the shadow recoiled violently away from the station, twisting in agony, parts of its body peeling away like smoke in a storm. The entire galaxy outside lit up as Eris poured every last piece of the relic's power into the creature, sacrificing himself to weaken it. The explosion that followed shook the stars. The chamber windows shattered completely, the emergency shields failed, and a vortex of light swallowed Eris and the creature both, pulling them into a swirling storm that tore a hole in space itself. The light faded. The creature was gone. Eris was gone. Only silence remained. The aliens slowly stood, shaking, broken, alive. Rian Holt stared at the empty space where Eris had been, his face hollow. His whisper broke the silence. Humanity does not surrender.